Anyway, this is called Elephant. Everyone ignored the elephant in the room. Even after I had climbed up onto his back, sat in the howdah, and began to smash the furniture to pieces.
The way to play it. There is a dog lying behind me as I look at this blank document on the screen. My shorts are hanging so low a woman could give him a good feel. I have taken a shower and a shave, and I'm still too ugly compared to my past. But the love from my source is still there, even if the pretty girls have run away. I made a pact with some sort of a god 10 years ago, that I would drink whatever I desired, that I would smoke as much as I wanted, that I would eat whatever I pleased, and he would turn me into this so-called writer. Then I would die gently in my sleep while keeping a good dream going for eternity. Now that's the way to play it.
And it's also about another type of culture that you use for making sourdough bread. Sometimes you just need a starter, a push, to get the line to go, to get the dough to grow, a leg up, an introduction to the crew, and then after that, it's up to you to mix, knead, fold, pay attention to time, heat, humidity, and watch it rise from something as simple as flour and water into something so tasty it's gone in half an hour. And then you're the keeper of the culture, entrusted with the starter that must be kept living, refrigerated and fed or thrown in the absence of a recipient when time will not allow space to make use of magic jars passed down the generations, this bread of life that is living in the rhythm of your knuckles, in the sweat of your song, in the tap of your heel, as you keep tradition living, bubbling, rising. Thank you.
This is a wee poem. What's it about, Frank? Well, what it's about really is, a long time ago I came across this notion, a sociological theory, which said that the working classes of the world only communicate using a thing called a restricted code of communication, whereas the middle classes can gracefully move from a more elaborate code of communication into this restricted code. They can move seamlessly between both worlds, whereas the working classes are stuck. So this was a wee response to that theory. It's called This Is the Voice. This is the voice, my aim. It was lost, but somehow I kept it. Nae matter the cost, it was lost. I had buried it under mountains of shite. And then I went off somewhere and tried speaking right. But it just didn't suit me. It left me tongue-tied. I was left feeling lousy, like somebody died. In my head, I was hurting. Something just wasn't clicking. My language, my culture had been getting a good kicking. As a way it all started with comics and books. If I asked a question, I'd get one of the looks that said I was rubbish. I changed how I spoke to lie the teachers thought I wasn't a joke. Because Scots were all stupid, drunk, mental, violent. Glaswegians were worse. I spoke and grew silent. I grew silent and weary. I felt a deep sense of shame. I spoke with my new voice, and then I came home. I stopped and I listened for the first time in years. I still had an accent that moved me to tears. I stopped and I listened without being prepared. I listened to people and I liked what I heard. I stopped being frightened of being grammatically wrong. I spoke in my own voice. No, I didn't. I sang. Thank you.
Name's Paul Campbell here. I'm going to do one of my favourite Seamus Heaney poems, Anna Horish. Anna Horish, my place of clear water, the first hill in the world where springs washed into the shiny grass, and the darkened cobbles and the bed of a lane. Anna Horish, soft gradient of consonant vowel metal. Aftermath of lamps swung through the yards on winter evenings, with pails and barrels, those mound dwellers go waist deep in mist to break alike ice at wells and dunghills. Thank you.
I'm Dara MacDonald, and this is a wee piece that I wrote post-lockdown when I was feeling particularly positive, and with apologies to James Joyce and in deference to Molly Bloom, I call it Yes, Yes, Yes. And please feel free to join in on the refrain. Here on the banks of the mighty Foyle, a city built of blood, sweat and toil presents to the world a positive glow, for while the rest of Ulster says no, the dirty maiden city muckers say yes. So Derry asserts its Del Monte pride and holds its own against the tide in an affirmation of northern greeting, where citizens call out in meeting and the Derry ones call out yes. Even its car numbers stand instead of the usual mix with the letter Z, in a flamboyant unity of you and I. My personal favourite is OUI, a wee French translation of yes. Thank you.
Yeah. This is a poem written by Seamus Heaney from a series of sonnets. Clearances. It's one of my favourites. It was written in memory of his Aunt Mary, who lived in Balahi, and to him he was very close. When all the others were away at Mass, I was all hers as we peeled potatoes. They broke the silence, let fall one by one like solder weeping off the soldering iron. Cold comfort sat between us, things to share, gleaming in a bucket of clean water, and again let fall. Little pleasant splashes from each other's work would bring us to our senses. So while the parish priest at her bedside went hammer and tongs at the prayers for the dying, and some were responding and some crying. I remembered her head bent towards my head, her breath in mine, our fluent dipping lives, never closer the whole rest of our lives. Thank you.
It was for the ugly truth. My uncle and me were out in his car. We must have been doing a message. It was as dark as black smoke. We were chatting about something, probably about my heavy training. Then he spied someone in his headlights. My uncle pointed at him. He told me he had everything, the whole world kneeling at his feet, but he ruined it all in some way. I couldn't quite make him out, and I'm not really good with gossip. We drove past him without acknowledgement, probably like every girl who doesn't give him a smile anymore. I was 16 then, another 16 years have passed, and when I look in the mirror, I see him looking back at me. Even though I didn't get a good look at him, I still see the stars that tried to illuminate that night when I look close. I see why we gave it up. It was for the ugly truth, where God is a bastard, life is a nightmare, but we knew it wasn't just us. Because most people just don't want to acknowledge its fear. So we walk straight through it instead, to taste its fire and feel its unbounded freedom. So, why don't you join us?
My granny made me an anarchist for Stuart Christie. My granny made me an anarchist that night when she came up with my bail. She said, "Frankie, son, always box clever. Never let them put you into their jail. Never let them know what you're thinking or that you intend their demise. When they stop you in the street, just keep smiling. Remember, a smile always starts in your eyes. Read a lot, have many friends, enjoy talking, have a beer or 3, but never to excess. Experiment with whatever you want to. Keep in mind, more is rarely better than less. Have sex with whoever you want to, who takes your fancy or you to their bed. But try not to break any promises you've made and keep religion well away from your head." She was just a wee woman from Springburn, and she claimed that she didn't know very much. But when she went into the intricacies of anarcho-syndicalist thought, at first I thought she was speaking in Dutch. She said there is a coming insurrection. You may not know when or why, but the when. No. You may not know where or when, but the why. That's all you can ever be sure of. This and the fact we all die. There's this world. There'll no be another. We'll no be building new homes in the stars. Science fiction. Keep the emphasis on fiction. And politicians will leave us nothing but scars. They'll dupe you, lie to you. Don't believe them or their facts of the matter. It's all lies. No matter which party they claim to stand for, they're all in the same one, just someone in disguise. Now, my granny never danced with Emma Goldman. She never drank with Bakunin, Rudy Rocker, or Lucy Parsons. But she said that revolt is a natural tendency of life, and a good case can be well made for arson. Direct action, said my granny, is necessity. The world can be whatever all of us create, beyond the decrees of parties and leaders. There can be no redress from the state. Government isn't there for the governed. It serves the interests of the rulers and the rich. The rest of us, we are just a game being played by those who never die in any ditch. Aye, my granny made me an anarchist. That night when she came up with my bail, she said, "Frankie, son, always box clever. Never let them put you into their jail." Smashing.